very different than their actual life. So they have no more faith in democracy. So I think you'd see, broadly speaking, you'll kind of see the slow death of democracy. I mean, you'll still have elections, but people will just kind of be like, it doesn't matter. You'll see apathy and more kind of political violence, that kind of thing. I mean, long term. And, our lives will, in the short term, our lives will just get worse, right? We'll have more constraints. There will be more ads, more, the internet will look more and more like a casino, more tracking. Like things will just kind of be shittier. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. Things will just be worse.
All right, Matt Stoller, it's a big ruling. It's a complicated one. Thanks for taking us through it.
Hey, thanks so much.
That was Matt Stoller. He's the research director at the American Economic Liberties Project. He also writes a newsletter called Big, which tracks the monopoly power of big companies. That's all for this week. The Cost of Living is based in Calgary, and if you're looking for one more way to listen to the show, you can stream live radio on the CBC News app. You can also get a bunch of news on the News app, so hey, News app, check it out. The show is produced by Danielle Nerman, Ellis Cho, and Jennifer Keene, with help from Caroline Ferris. I'm Paul Habersrud. Thanks for listening.
This is CBC Radio 1, 990 AM, 89.3 FM in Winnipeg.
The CBC News app delivers the answers you want to know and need to know.
What an extraordinary scene.
The breaking stories that shape your world. Reporting from the scene onto your screens.
Dropping the 8 now, we're just approaching Gaza.
Your source for mobile news. Delivered when you want, where you want.
This situation has changed very quickly.
The CBC News app. Download for free.
You know the feeling of finding a really good podcast? Or the feeling of someone always being there, like your favorite radio show? Stream CBC Podcasts, CBC Music, and CBC Radio anytime, anywhere.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon. I'm Riley Leitchuk. It is noon, mainly sunny in Winnipeg this hour, 24 degrees. We're looking at a mainly sunny afternoon once again today. Our high in the city, 28 degrees. Winnipeg's mayor says he supports a ban on machete sales in the city. Justice Minister Matt Wiebe is looking at imposing restrictions. It comes amid a rash of violent attacks involving machetes in the city. Gillingham says he supports limiting the sale of machetes, similar to how bear spray sales were restricted in 2023.
Where we have weapons that are being used, like machetes, I see it similar to the bear spray. The bear spray, there was restrictions put on bear spray recently, or in the last couple of years. That made a difference. I would welcome an opportunity to have discussions with the minister to see a ban on machetes in the city of Winnipeg.
The latest attack happened over the weekend. Police say a 15-year-old boy suffered life-altering injuries after another 15-year-old boy hit him with a machete. The accused was charged with aggravated assault. Winnipeg's Transit's on-request service is expanding into the city's northwest. The service allows riders to request a bus and track it using a mobile app. It currently operates in south and central Winnipeg, where regular transit routes are not established. Today, the city says it's adding a fourth zone in the Maples starting on September 1st. Public Works Chair Janice Lukes says Winnipeg's northwest has grown fast in recent years.
So when we look at the northwest quadrant of the city that is seeing rapid growth, there is a demand for transit, but it doesn't quite bring forward the demand of constant transit routes. So on request means more people in the city will be able to access transit.
There will also be a new transit feeder route linking the Castleberry Meadows and Waterford Green neighborhoods to the Garden City Shopping Centre. That feeder route will run during peak hours. RCMP say a driver faces numerous charges after some scary moments just north of Winnipeg on Friday night. Several people called about a dangerous driver on Highway 7. Callers told police the vehicle was all over the road, changing speeds, and almost hit several other vehicles. Police stopped the northbound vehicle in the arm of Rockwood. They say the 30-year-old Winnipeg man driving that vehicle had 4 times the legal limit. He has been charged with impaired driving and driving while disqualified. To Greece. People in the suburbs of Athens desperately trying to protect their homes. They're using hoses and buckets of water to douse areas around their properties. The wildfire started over the weekend. It is moving closer to Greece's capital. Thousands of people have been forced to leave. At least one death is now being blamed on the fire. Officials say strong winds and high temperatures are easing, and some people are being allowed to return home. Attack drones have been flying back and forth over the border between Russia and Ukraine overnight. Ukraine's Air Force says it shot down dozens of Russian drones, but energy infrastructure in the Sumy region was still destroyed and parts of the city are in the dark. Russian news agencies say Ukraine also targeted the Russian region of Kursk. Ukrainian officials are restricting civilian movement as the fighting intensifies in that border region. They say they are trying to block Russian sabotage and reconnaissance groups. Donald Trump is trying to inject some much-needed momentum into his U.S. presidential campaign. The Republican nominee went live with Elon Musk on his social media platform X last night. Musk says the interview was delayed by 40 minutes due to a cyber attack. Ashley Burke has the story.
Donald, great to speak.
Former President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk joining forces live on X.
Nice to have a forum like this where I can discuss something at length. You think that Kamala could do this interview? They would take a pass on you?
No, they could not.
Trump returned to Musk's social media platform after a year-long break, a sign his campaign thinks it needs X to help Trump's campaign. At some points, more than 1.3 million people tuned in live.
This is very good.
Musk has a massive following of mostly young male supporters, and Trump's campaign appears to be making a play for them as he struggles to find an effective way to slow down opponent Kamala Harris's momentum.
We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden.
Trump's campaign escalated its paid messaging, placing $37 million in ad buys over the weekend, as polls suggest Harris is now leading in 3 key battleground states. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Washington.
And finally, scientists have discovered a reservoir of liquid water on Mars deep in the rocky outer crust of the planet. The findings come from a new analysis of data from NASA's Mars lander, which touched down on the planet in 2018. Vashon Wright led the study. He says the water would be very difficult to extract during a mission to Mars.
The liquid water is roughly 11 to 20 kilometers beneath the subsurface, and getting that liquid water would be quite challenging.
That is Vashon Wright from the University of California in San Diego. And that is the CBC News from Winnipeg. You can find news updated throughout the day anytime by heading to cbc.ca/Manitoba or by checking the free CBC News app. And you can get breaking news alerts on the app anytime as well. Taking a look at your weather forecast today, we're looking at a mainly sunny day across southern Manitoba. 28 in both Winnipeg and Brandon this afternoon. 29 in Dauphin under a mix of sun and clouds. A slim chance you could see some showers, maybe a thunderstorm in Winnipeg tonight, south winds at 20. Still dealing with widespread smoke and heat in northern Manitoba. Thompson, a high of 30 today. Churchill, also 30 degrees. You're listening to CBC Radio 1.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Radio Noon. I'm Brittany Greenslade. Big show ahead. With less than 3 weeks to go until Labor Day, you might be looking for ways to squeeze in a little more fun in the sun. Well, we'll talk with the outdoor enthusiast known as Frosty Face Manitoba for his tips on enjoying the great outdoors in the late summer, and we'll be taking your calls. Plus, it's a collection of short, scary stories inspired by the natural landscapes of Manitoba. Author Sheldon Burney joins us to talk about his book. But first, a cell phone ban at a Hanover middle school has positively impacted students and faculty at one middle school. We'll find out why. Well, in September, the Hanover School Division will expand its cell phone ban for K-8 students. This comes after a pilot program at Stony Brook Middle School. Colin Campbell is the assistant superintendent at the Hanover School Division. He spoke to CBC's Ian Fraze about the ban.
It's important, I think, when you talk about change management, where we have pilots somewhere that we test to see if something is going to be successful. And over a year ago, we had the principals in that school approach our senior min team saying that they would like to implement a cell phone free school year starting, which would have been last year. And the reasons were of concern just on the amount of times that they were having to remind students to put their cell phones away. So distractions, distractibility. Also, the amount of impact that it was having on dealing with behavior. You know, there's behavior that takes place online that makes its way into the school that principals are having to deal with. And then there's friendship problems that also take place online as well. And they were finding that in the guidance counselors' office that there's quite a bit of student meetings that are needed to take place just to work through some friendship problems. And so not only did you have the in-person behavior and friendship things that you deal with as an educator, but now we're also dealing with some online stuff. And they came forward with this suggestion, and I applaud them for doing that. It's courageous to say, okay, let's give this a shot.
Can you give me an example of sort of what you're getting at here?
Using social media. You post something and not in kind to someone else, and then it gets brought forth to a teacher, and then the school staff that we deal with that. It created another layer of challenges, and our middle school students, it's challenging enough to navigate through middle school on the day-to-day in person, and to add social media in there. It's different than when you and I were in middle school.
It's being expanded. So I guess, did it work in Stony Brook?
It did. It worked really well. So what we ended up noticing with that pilot project is significant decrease in behavior that was having to be dealt with by principal and vice principal in the school. A significant decrease in the amount of interactions that students had requested with the guidance counselor on online relationship challenges, as well as teachers reporting that they didn't have to obviously ask students to put cell phones away. And so time crunch of having to do that wasn't necessary anymore. And so it created positive time. The principal and vice principal talked about just this a level of calm that was starting to present itself at school. When we hear that, it's important that that's the positive impact that we're having. We need to consider expanding this. And that's what we did. We had further conversations with our admin council and our principal group. And we said, look, this is what one school's noticed. Is this something that you feel is necessary in your schools? And it was unanimous. It was something that all principals said, look, if we can move in this direction, they're willing to support that. And we have fantastic principals in our school division. And if they are willing to get behind a change in policy, then we know it's got good footings to be successful. And we asked them to take it to their parent council, because involving parents in these decisions are important. They each went back to their parent councils. And again, working with parent councils, they were very supportive of making this change. So then the next phase is, and we had dialogue obviously with our school board throughout this process on how things were going, and ultimately your school board's making the policy change. And so we made the recommendation to the board to make this change to move forward with grades 5 to 8 cell phone free. And really it's K to 8, because we were K to 4, you didn't bring a device anyways. So it's K to 8 cell phone free starting in September.
Cell phone free means like not even in the lockers?
Yeah, that's correct. And it was a tough decision that we had to make, because not all our schools, we have the ability to have the backpacks in a locker. In some of our schools, we have kids wearing their backpacks with them. And so the cell phone's still with them. That's challenging, because then we're not too much further ahead to the distractibility. It's still there, it's tempting, and we've asked that cell phones stay at home.
DSFM has also done this for a year, at least from the 9 to 12 range. I think it's phones and lockers. You can use them outside a classroom. At this point, you've not made that step. How come?
My response is, one step at a time here. We feel that there was a need to definitely in our middle school to address this as soon as possible, and we've taken those steps. We have had dialogue with our high school principals on, what internal rules can you make sure, or expectations can you make sure that you have with staff and students in regards to cell phones. But that's something that's ongoing. It's a conversation that we will continue to have and continue to watch. And if we get to the point where we feel like we need to make some changes at the high school level, then by all means, we will address that.
How are teachers handling cell phone use?
And our teachers are doing the best job that they can. It's not an easy task. However, in our division, we're very fortunate that our students all have Chromebooks at the high school level. And so they have a device that's they're able to use in class for educational reasons. And so the opportunity to need their personal device is limited. Obviously, in some classes and some courses that's needed, if there's a particular application that they can get on the mobile device and can't get on a desktop, our teachers have the support of our principals to make those decisions, but they're doing the best they can.
That was CBC's Ian Fraze speaking to Hanover School Division Assistant Superintendent Colin Campbell. The Hanover School Division cell phone ban starts this September for students from K to 8.
The CBC News app delivers the answers you want to know and need to know.
What an extraordinary scene.
The breaking stories that shape your world. Reporting from the scene onto your screens.
Frosty Face now, we're just approaching Gaza.
Your source for mobile news. Delivered when you want, where you want.
This situation has changed very quickly.
The CBC News app. Download for free.
I'm Brittany Greenslade in for Janet Stewart this week. You're listening to Radio Noon on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM, 990 AM. And we've got lots coming up. Our call-in today, it's already close to halfway through August. Do you feel like you've gotten outside enough this summer? Have you enjoyed all those outdoor activities? We're going to be speaking with the man behind the Instagram account, Frosty Face Manitoba. He's not frosty yet. To hear how he's making the most of the last few weeks of hot weather. We'll be taking your calls, your questions. I want to know what you want to do before the summer ends. And coming up, author Sheldon Burney talks to us about where the pavement meets the sand, his collection of short stories inspired by Clear Lake. Well, we have a heat warning up north. A large ridge of high pressure over the eastern part of the prairies is bringing that warm air to northern Manitoba. Daytime highs in the upper 20s, low 30s. Overnight lows in the teens can be expected through much of the midweek. And we're going to have a passage of a cold front tonight into Wednesday night, into Thursday morning, bringing more seasonal temperatures. And then we also have an air quality advisory for Thompson and parts of the north as well. Those smoke from the wildfires, so be careful there. Looking for widespread smoke around Thompson, looking for highs of 30. Here in the south, further down, Brandon, sunny, mix of sun and cloud this afternoon, looking for a high of 28. Here in Winnipeg, mainly sunny, looking for highs of 28, feeling more like 31 degrees. It is 12:15 on this Tuesday afternoon. Well, picture this. You're on your own in a campground in the woods. The forest is silent, except the whistle of the wind, the crackle of the fire, and whatever creatures may linger beyond the trees. The woods and nature can be a spooky place. Author Sheldon Burney has harnessed that fear factor in Where the Pavement Meets the Sand, his new collection of short stories. But don't worry, these strange and unusual encounters are all science fiction. Sheldon grew up visiting Riding Mountain National Park, has carried his appreciation of that landscape over to his book, and joins me now. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We were talking about campfires just very quickly in the break, and I feel like this book is perfect for reading over a campfire out in the forest. So congratulations on the book. Give me a little more insight into it. Is it that campfire book that we all need and want?
I think you're not too far off. There's stories for all seasons, but yeah, it's perfect for the tall tale you're hearing around a campfire or cozy up beside a fireplace in the winter. That kind of vibe for sure.
So what can people expect when they pick up this book and start turning the pages?
Well, there's 20 short stories that vary in length. They're all basically set in a prairie parkland kind of setting, a fictional version of cottage country in some cases. And there's it's literary fiction, but there's some science fiction. There's some horror in there. It's a bit of a mix. And again, it's kind of tall tales or stuff you'd share over maybe a beer at the curling rink or something like that.
I feel like you're every kid's favorite uncle. You're the one that they want tucking people into bed to tell them that scary story before bed. So where did the inspiration for this come?
These are all, stories have been written over the years, and I think it goes back to just, the authors that I read as a kid in formative years. Ray Bradbury, Stephen King, mixed with, regional stuff here like Margaret Lawrence, who was, of course, from Manitoba, Manitoba, and wrote about this area in a way that really connected with me as a young reader.
Is there one of these short stories that really stands out for you? Do you have a favorite?
It does change. I just got a tattoo of a ghost on skates that's kind of tied in with a haunted hockey skate story that's in there that I think came together really well. But there's a lot of them that all touch a different part of me for sure.
Some of these natural spaces, tell me a little bit about Lake Manawaka.
So that's, again, a fictionalized kind of version riffing off of Margaret Lawrence's Manawaka, which was her stand-in for Nipoa. And to me, a lot of these stories kind of come about from spending time as a kid or as a young adult in Clear Lake and camping or being out late at night and getting up to who knows what. But I wanted to make it, not so specific that folks who are in any cottage country couldn't relate to it because, every cottage little community is different, but they have a lot of commonalities. And if you're in, Ontario or even down in the States somewhere, if you have that cottage community, there's some commonalities that people can tie in, and I'm hoping to kind of bring that together with Lake Manawaka.
I feel like you have some secrets there. You said getting up to who knows
what.
We don't want to give it all away.
That's it. You got
in your youth, right? Maybe a little bit in adulthood too.
Yeah.
So where are these stories from? Take us through some of them.
Okay, well, I'm hoping to read a couple up at Clear Lake this weekend, one of which is called The Wind. I Seen It All Right, and that's a tale of a dad who's rented the expensive cabin for the week at a cabin place, trying to give his kids that cottage experience, and it's not quite living up to what they might have thought. Maybe it's the cabin, maybe it's the guy himself bringing too much expectations onto it, that kind of thing. We've got some golf tournaments coming up in the Clear Lake area. There's a golf tournament story where the local hotshot is a little off his game at first and claims he was abducted by aliens, whereas everyone thinks maybe he just fell off the wagon for a bit. And who's to say what the real story is there? But that's what you'll find out in reading these kind of things.
Are you drawing from real life in any of these, or any of these friends that can see themselves in parts of these stories that were like, hey, that was supposed to stay secret?
No, none that far, but certainly folks could see themselves in it. Whether it's maybe they're reading a little into it more or less, but there's certainly in fiction you're always drawing a nugget or a hint of something from something that happened. Whether it's the opening scenario that then you take in a different direction, or you throw in a little tidbit in there to give it a little more veracity or whatnot. But there's it's a mix of real life and imagination for sure.
So what makes areas like Clear Lake a great setting for these spooky stories?
In one hand you've got the natural element, which is you're in a safe kind of camping spot or a cottage, but not too far removed is the wilderness, the darkness. Night kind of presses in on you closer than it does in the city, and also a lot of people have connections to it. So you can draw on a bit of nostalgia, or people can see themselves in a place that they visited or spent time in, and then they can really, see themselves in the characters because they've been there or they've experienced something similar.
See, I don't like scary movies, but I've always loved scary books. I grew up with like the Goosebumps books and all of these ones. So what really sparked your interest in the unknown, the unexplainable? You mentioned Stephen King.
Yeah.
Did you grow up on books like
Totally.
this?
And I'm pleased to be able to read these stories at Poor Michael's Emporium, which is, of course, a used bookstore. Started as just a tiny little cottage used bookstore. And I would be picking up the mass market paperbacks of Stephen King and Ray Bradbury were big as a kid. Of course, the X-Files was on when I was a child, and that was my favorite show by far. And certainly, you know, those kind of influences definitely laid the foundation for my own interest in that kind of thing. And I like a scary movie now and then, but I prefer a scary book, hands down.
I know, it's the book. The movies, I can't do it. Then I get scared of the dark, but the book tucked away in a dark corner, I love it. And the choose your own adventures, which I feel like when you have all these short stories, you really get to choose your own adventure.
Totally.
You can pick which one you want to start with.
You can read it start to finish, front to back, back to front, or just pick and choose as you go. There's a connection that runs throughout it, but it's not like a novel or even like a real linked short story collection. You can pick and choose as you go for sure.
So you talked about the book reading that's happening at Poor Michael's. What do people need to know about the event?
That's going on this Saturday, which is August 17th. Poor Michael's is right off Highway 10 in Onanol as you're headed into Riding Mountain National Park. We're going to do this from 4 to 5. You know, I'm going to read maybe 2 or 3 of the stories from the book, as well as a new one that has just appeared online recently in an online journal. I'm hoping there will be some discussion back and forth, and I'll certainly talk about the influence that place has on my writing, as well as some of the stories and authors that kind of influenced the stories in particular. And yeah, I hope it's a good time. I hope people will join us for a hot or cold beverage, whatever the occasion might be or the weather might allow for, and should be fun.
Well, it might be sunny out right now. We have the blinds drawn. I'm trying to make it as dark as possible without turning all the lights off. Can you read a little piece of your book for our listeners?
Yeah, sure.
Is there a little excerpt you could?
I can read a little snip of a short story, a quite short one that I'll be reading up at Poor Michael's this weekend. The story is called A Lake Wedding, which I'm sure we've all experienced or experienced many, and this is kind of my take on it. I'll read just a little bit from the middle. Bodies I'd known over the years, intimately or otherwise, began streaming down the lake towards the shore, shedding shoes, jackets, shirts, dresses, slips, and pants as they went. Not like it was the first time something like this had happened. It was a lake wedding, after all. Though I was drawn by their atavistic howling, my own animal drive, and the history that bound us, I ventured no further than the rocky beach. Instead, I stood staring out toward the far shore, longing and revulsion rising and falling like a poorly mixed cocktail in my guts, as their tanned limbs and luminescent nethers, brown, blonde, red, black, gray hair soaked, splashing, thrashing among the waves, become a fleshy kraken, some lost beast of the deeps before my wide and bloodshot eyes.
Just a tiny little excerpt. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. That was Sheldon Burney, author of Where the Pavement Turns to Sand. The book reading will happen this Saturday, August 17th at Poor Michael's Emporium in Onanol, Manitoba. Thank you so much. Well, Mistaken for Wayne is the stage name of musician Wade Montpellier. He's an organic farmer who lives near Sudbury, Ontario. And when he's not planting or harvesting, he's imagining new tunes in sometimes faraway places. This is In Spain.
The sinking feeling that happens today. Clouds are moving, the seasons away. November calls you twice a day, reminding you of photographs taken in May. Changes gently, and time takes you so friendly along the way. The work dog rises, darkness to stay. So pour a cup of loving just in case. And bird calls and fish falls, numbered in days, reminding you of growing tall, midsummer haze. Changes gently, and time takes you so friendly along the way. are so lonely in Spain. In Spain. In Spain. In Spain. In Spain. In
Out of Sudbury, Ontario, that was Mistaken for Wayne with In Spain. His new EP is called This Time of Year.
The CBC Music Top 20. CBC Music Live.
All right.
Savor the flavor of the Francophone world on C'est Formidable. Experience the next wave of Indigenous music with Reclaim. The global sounds of frequencies. End your day or start your late night with music on CBC Radio 1. Weeknights at 11, 11:30 in Newfoundland, and on demand on CBC Listen.
Well, we have just a few weeks left of summer. I know it feels like it's gone by oh so very fast, but it is still lovely out. There is still plenty of time to get outside, enjoy Manitoba and everything it has to offer. So we're going to be speaking with an outdoor enthusiast known as Frosty Face Manitoba. He's not very frosty yet. We're still hot. It's still summer. But we're going to be speaking about his tips on enjoying the great outdoors in the late summer. We're going to be taking your calls. If you want to shoot us off a text already, you can do that, 204-588-7355. Tell me about the things that you want to do before summer ends. Is there something you haven't gotten to do yet? Maybe a tradition that you do every single summer. For me, I've wanted to go down the Pinawa float. I didn't get to do that yet this summer. I'm starting to run out of time. So tell me what those things are that you want to do as well. You can also give us a call starting at just after 12:30, 204-780-0893. Let us know what you're looking to do. It is a beautiful day outside here in Winnipeg right now. We do have some air quality advisories that we're still dealing with up in the northern part of the province, and some heat warnings as well coming up on 12:30 here, and your news is coming up next.
This is CBC News. Good afternoon. I'm Riley Lachuk. At 12:30, 26 degrees, partly cloudy in Winnipeg this hour. We're looking at a mainly sunny afternoon. Once again today across southern Manitoba, 28 are high in Winnipeg. Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham says he supports a ban on machete sales in the city. Justice Minister Matt Wiebe is looking at imposing restrictions similar to how bear spray sales were restricted in 2023. It comes amid a rash of violent attacks involving machetes in the city. The latest attack happening over the weekend, police say a 15-year-old boy suffered life-altering injuries after another 15-year-old boy hit him with a machete. A 19-year-old woman from Saskatchewan is dead after a side-by-side ATV rolled near Lake of the Prairies. Russell RCMP say it happened early on Sunday morning in the Kilman Cottage area. They say the woman was thrown from the ATV when it rolled. She died at the scene. Two other 19-year-olds from Saskatchewan were uninjured. The driver of the ATV has been charged with impaired driving causing death. RCMP don't think any of the occupants of that ATV were wearing seatbelts or helmets at the time that it rolled. Some Indigenous leaders in Ontario are taking the provincial government to court. They're arguing the Ontario Mining Act breaches their treaty and charter rights. Sarah Law has the story.
These are not your lands to give away, Ontario.
Chief June Black of Apatipi and Anishinaabe Nation calls Ontario's Mining Act a, quote, racist piece of legislation. Her community east of Timmins is one of 6 to file an application in Ontario's Superior Court of Justice. Chief Black and other First Nations leaders are taking issue with what's known as the free entry system, which allows prospectors to stake claims on lands online. First Nations are notified after the fact. While in Thunder Bay last week to announce millions in funding for workers in the trades, Ontario Premier Doug Ford says it's all part of the plan to harvest minerals for Ontario's electric vehicle industry.
We now are the #1 destination in the world to invest when it comes to the EV sector, and it's all tied to the north.
A spokesperson for Ontario's Attorney General says the province has received a notice of application. Sarah Law, CBC News, Thunder Bay, Ontario.
Shippers and producers say a railway network stoppage would snarl the country's supply chain and disrupt Canadian industries. Both Canadian National and Canadian Pacific Kansas City Railways have warned they will lock out some 9,300 workers on August 22nd unless they reach a deal. Talks on new contracts have stalled over scheduling and wages. Both railways have begun halting shipments of dangerous goods from the U.S. in case there is a work stoppage. And finally to Germany. Children cooling off at a fountain in Munich. Parts of that country are seeing temperatures upwards of 35 degrees. High temperatures are expected to persist for the rest of the week. A system rolling in off the Atlantic is expected to bring rain and cooler temperatures. And that is your CBC News from Winnipeg.
Thank you, Riley.
No problem.
Well, it is nice out here. And our 12:35, we're going to be talking to what people have yet to do this summer.
Okay.
Something that they want to do, something they always do, something they've missed. Do you have something you do every summer or something you're still hoping to eke in these next few weeks?
You know, I have yet to actually do the Pinawa float thing.
That was mine. I did it a few summers ago.
I heard you talking about it. I haven't done it yet.
We have a couple weeks.
There's a little time left. Yeah, I've always been fascinated with that idea.
All right. Well, hop to it.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to find some time for that here.
Riley's been a little busy doing a couple things. Thank you, Riley.
No problem.
Well, on that note, welcome back to Radio Noon on CBC Radio 1, 89.3 FM and 990 AM. I'm Brittany Greenslade. It has been a beautiful day here in Winnipeg. It's mainly sunny. We do have some light winds, 20 kilometers per hour this afternoon, looking for a high of 28 degrees. Very similar over in Brandon as well, a mix of sun and cloud this afternoon. Partly cloudy, chance of showers for you out there overnight and the risk of a thunderstorm. Air quality advisory is what we're dealing with up in Thompson as well. Widespread smoke from those wildfires, highs of 30 degrees. That smoke going to be pushing its way out, but we will be dealing with that for a few days. And up in the north, heat warnings is what you're dealing with there. So make sure you're drinking lots of water, taking some breaks from that sunshine if you can, and making sure that you are staying hydrated. Well, our next guest is someone we often speak to about having fun outdoors in the winter. As it turns out, the man behind the Instagram account, Frosty Face Manitoba, is also encouraging folks to get out and enjoy what's left of summer. Chris Beauvillain joins us live in studio, and we'll be taking your calls to share stories about what you've been up to outside over the summer. Or if you have questions for Chris, he has a lot of tips on making the most of the hot weather. You can give us a call, 204-780-0893, or if you don't want to talk to me and you just want to text, that's fine. 204-588-7355. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Well, you know, I'm used to seeing the Instagram accounts with the frosty lashes and all of these. We're not getting that right now. We're looking at 30-degree temperatures. But what have some of your highlights of the summer been so far?
Yeah, it's funny. People think that I just disappear, but I'm just quite active in summer as well, especially with the kids. This has been a great summer, kind of a late start in the spring, but just lots of heat. And we've been doing tons of stuff, whether it's little road trips or camping or just sticking around town. It's been a full summer.
Where's your favorite place to camp? I've only gone camping a couple times in Manitoba. So do you have a secret spot you can share?
Well, I'm going to get to that in a long-winded way. Manitoba is like this province of extremes. And, when it's windy, it's really windy. Mm-hmm. When it's buggy, it's buggy. When it's hot or cold, cold. But it means that this province sort of changes day to day. And so every week, every month, every day, we have different experiences. So I don't necessarily have a favorite spot, but I am lucky enough to have access to a place in the Whiteshell, and so we spend a lot of time there. But I think that we just have so much opportunity in this province, whether, you want to go half an hour north to Birds Hill, which we went to a couple of weeks ago. You can go camping and get pizza delivered to your campsite, which is, it's amazing.
That's not real camping. You can have pizza delivered. I think that's cheating.
Well, but that's what I mean is I feel like we have so much access, and not just in terms of proximity, but in terms of what you want to do. If you want to go to, West Hawk and go scuba diving, you can. If you want to go to Nopaming and see no one, you can. If you want to go to the Spirit Sands, 2 hours west of here and go on these sandy dunes through, pine forests, you can. You can tailor your activity to what you're in the mood for and get a totally different experience. It's kind of an amazing thing.
It's funny because I see social media ads all the time where people are showing these kind of the best clips of Manitoba. And it's like, this isn't Italy. This isn't France. This isn't, a place in Barcelona. It's right here in our province. And you can go to areas that look like nothing you would expect here.
Yeah, it's an amazing experience to me of driving through, right now the canola fields are coming out, and it's that beautiful sunny, and it's almost like an ocean waving, in the wind. And then you drop into, Lake Winnipeg or Lake Manitoba, and it's like an ocean without the salt. Or you can go east and hit these rocky outcroppings when you get into these pine forests, and it's again a totally different experience. And it's amazing that we have all this within 2 hours. If you want to go 3 hours, you go even further afield, and you hit something even new, and you can always explore new things.
I feel like we've dropped like 15 different things people can do already. But if you have a secret spot or something that you're still looking to do this summer, give us a call, 204-780-0893, or text 204-588-7355. I'm going to keep picking Chris's brain. Picking. We can do lots of berry picking. There's lots of picking we can do. Have you done any foraging, picking, anything like that this summer?
If I was actually going to mention this, if there's one thing you can do in the next couple of weeks, it'd be to go foraging. It is peak foraging right now. The bugs are down. It's hot, but not too hot. The evenings are cool. The mornings are cool. And the berries this year, I've never seen blueberries like this. It's unbelievable. We hit a patch, and I always joke with my kids that I've got a container that's exactly 4 cups. And I say, if we fill this up, I'll make you a pie. And we went out last weekend, and within an hour, we picked enough for 3 pies. It was unbelievable. Then on the way back, we found some wild hazelnuts. It's just really neat. And I've been picking chanterelle mushrooms, and it's an activity that's really accessible as well. You can be an expert and find all of these almost medicinal qualities to a lot of the products, or a lot of the things that you find in the forest, or you can just really do something as easy as berry picking. Just look down at your feet, slow down, enjoy it, and pick a couple blueberries, a handful, and enjoy your surroundings.
Well, for our listeners, I'm going to let you all know that Chris didn't bring any of those delicious things he just mentioned in.
My kids did not.
Blame the kids.
I might have had 2 pieces myself.
That's what we're getting to as well. We also want to say hi to all of our viewers and listeners that are joining us on our YouTube channel as well. You can leave a comment there, and we'll get to those too. You mentioned hunting for mushrooms. That's something I've never done. Jenny, tips for that? Are there good the best places to go, or is there things we need to know? Because I'm always just worried that I'm going to pick the wrong kind and I'm going to injure myself or hurt myself or poison myself.
I'm still pretty new at the whole mushroom picking thing. My tip for people that want to get into it is just focus on 1 or 2 things. And the easy one right now is something like, say, a chanterelle. It's a very identifiable mushroom. And then you can go and the first couple of times that I went years ago, I was amazed at how many mushrooms there are. And I just actually enjoyed going out just looking at mushrooms. Smartphones, I don't want to tell people to go out and be on your smartphone all the time. But if you have one, take a photo. And then when you get home, there are apps where you upload the photos and they'll identify them for you. And you just start getting more and more familiar. So I just say start small. Enjoy your time out there, and if you find those gems, it's a neat thing. The first time I described how much I like mushroom picking, it was like this excitement, like almost like a sport. And people didn't get it until they came out, and then everyone was running through the woods excited the first time they'd find an edible mushroom. It's a pretty fun experience.
I feel like you're an adult when, like, I felt the same when I got a blender for Christmas, a fancy blender, and I was like, you're an adult when that really gets you excited.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's something that you start to get the kids excited for too, because they're outside, they're not on their phones, they're not playing video games, they're getting to enjoy everything that Manitoba has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it hard for you to get the kids out with you on things like that, or
I've got good kids, so they're usually up for adventure. It's to me the hardest thing is that first step. Like, I don't want to go mushroom picking. And then as soon as you get out the door, they love it. They're running through the woods. They're playing tag. They're finding the occasional mushroom. This year, it's been amazing, blueberries. So they're even throwing, blueberries in each other's mouths. And they make games out of it. I mean, kids are kids. And if you bring them out, they'll be happy with the stick they find on the ground. So just take that first step.
My mom used to do that with the cherry pits. She'd flick them and see, and it was a competition on who could flick it the furthest.
Yeah.
And she always won.
We also do it with watermelon seeds. You squeeze them between, and you can get them pretty far.
All right. And I think, everybody needs tips on how to get their kids more engaged outside in the summer, how to be doing more things as well. So if you have those tips, let us know as well. Any recommended places to take a dip? I mean, there are so many bodies of water in Manitoba.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong anywhere you go. If you want to just go right up to Birds Hill, that's a really easy commute, and you can just cool off there. Or if you want to go further afield, I mentioned earlier, you can really tailor it. If you want to rent a boat, you go into West Hawk and that area, and there's all the amenities you want. Or if you just want to go, there's a beautiful string of lakes between Pinawa and Brereton Lake, about 7 or 8 lakes, and a really beautiful drive. Go to Pinawa, go into the dam. You can do the lazy river. That's amazing as well on a hot day. So you can really do whatever you want. If you want to go from kayak and go for a couple kilometer paddles, or if you just want to get a tube and splash 2 meters from shore, that's cool too. On a hot day, it doesn't really matter. It all feels amazing.
I think one of the things we also want to mention too is accessibility. Because we have so many lakes, because we have things that are so close to Winnipeg, where we have such a concentrated population in our province, it's important that it's accessible for people who maybe don't have a car. Are there things really close by? Do you have tips for people who maybe they're tight on budget right now as well?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite places in the city right now is the Forks. I went out there last night with my wife and just sat and people watched. The boats are out on the river, but just sitting, and there's no need to even buy anything. You can just sit and have a glass of water and be outside and people watch and be in around 1,000 other Manitobans and Winnipeggers enjoying a beautiful night. So I had a really amazing night last night at the Forks. I think they do a great job. But just find a park, find some shade. Assiniboine Park. I love the duck pond in that area. Walking through the Leo Mole Garden. The English Garden is just popping right now, and I really like what they've done with the edible garden at the Butterfly Garden. You can walk around in there. You don't even have to go into the Butterfly Garden. You can just walk around the gardens. It's amazing.
I think that's one of the things we're really spoiled for here in Manitoba and Winnipeg. You can just go to the park. You can walk around the park and spend hours there. Pack a picnic, sit outside. It doesn't need to be a big fancy outing. There are so many small free opportunities in the city.
Yeah, I mean, the kids and I were waiting to pick up some friends, and we were at Assiniboine Park, and we had a game of Frisbee, but we didn't have a Frisbee, so we ended up throwing a sandal around. And the kids, I didn't come up with it, the kids do, but I mean, you can literally pick up a stick with kids, and they'll throw it and invent a game and just embrace your inner child. Find some shade if it's too hot, or go enjoy the sun, whatever you're in the mood for. But it's, we are pretty spoiled here in Winnipeg and in Manitoba that we have access no matter what our, whatever we're into.
I think one of my favorite summertime noises is just hearing kids' laughter outside. I was walking the dog the other day, and there were 3 littles out in their front yard just playing. Mom was inside. They stopped and asked to pet the dog, and they were playing with their wands that they made out of sticks, and they each had a different interpretation of what this stick was, just what you were saying. And Mom came popping out just to make sure everything was okay. But just the 3 of them sitting outside, like we said, nothing around, using their creativity, using their imagination, and having the best time.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a great image in my head of the kids skateboarding just on our front walk as I was on the stoop. They turned the hose on and turned it into a game of water laser tag as the kids went up and down the sidewalk on their skateboard to cool down. It's these really simple things of just. We're lucky in this province to also during this time to have that time to just take an afternoon and enjoy it.
And we have to take advantage. I feel like we have such a short window here before you turn into Frosty Face, Manitoba, and we start looking at that Instagram of what to do in the winter. We really need to get outside. So I want to know, guys, what you still have left these next few weeks left of summer. 204-780-0893. Is there someplace you still want to go? Someplace that you found for the best people watching? As Chris said, I love to people watch. The Fork's great spot for that as well. I had mentioned that I've only gone camping a few times. I don't know if you can tell, I'm not really a camper. I'm more of a glamper.
So the pizza does work for you.
The pizza works for me. I'm the cheater. I like the little cheats there.
First time I had that, I was like, why do all campsites not have that?
Right?
It'd be so easy. Free delivery, of course, because it's super close by, but I would get a pizza every time.
Yeah, I would take advantage of that. I'm the cheater. I want the cheat. I want those cheat codes.
Yeah.
But do you have any other tips to make camping more fun for kids, for more of an experience? Maybe it is the pizza where you can go and do this. Is there something that's more focused around family fun if you aren't a camper, if you don't really know how to make it fun?
Yeah, I find a lot of campsites, there is really a range. So if you want to go to some of these campsites in the White Shelf, for example, they're full amenities, bathrooms, running water. You can even find some with showers. Go look at Airbnb. Some of them are full-on glamping. Or if you want to go further afield and go into Nopaming, then it's much more remote. You're setting up a tent. You're maybe cutting your own wood and all the rest of it. It's a little bit... you can really tailor it to what you want to do. But my tip for families is just really find what you're into. So if you want to try foraging, get the kids involved and, get them to pick berries and then make a crumble. It's so easy to make a crumble out of even a handful of berries, and then they get excited about it. They want to do it. Get a paddleboard, learn how to paddleboard. We have a paddleboard and we can fit 4 people on it. You're not supposed to probably, but we fit 4 people on it and we play tipping games, and it's amazing that a weekend will fly by and 4 hours feels like 10 minutes when you're having fun on a lake.
I just love that. And I love the fact that you said you're probably not supposed to. But you know what? You make it work for what you have.
Yeah, I always want to be careful. Go pick mushrooms, go out on a boat with 20 people. I don't want to be that guy. But yeah, at the same time, go out, have fun.
But the more you can get involved those kiddos in, the more they're going to want to go back. I went fishing this summer and I caught a salmon. I was in the West Coast, so not here. And I've been making that salmon now. We froze it, we kept it, and it was just this I caught that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the thing. You want to go again. You're going to get the kids wanting to go again if it's something that they made out of what they brought home.
Well, and so, my kids love saying Nutella. So finding a hazelnut, a wild hazelnut, they all went crazy for it. And it's not like you can make a meal out of it. We had 4 little tiny shriveled up hazelnuts, but the excitement they got of peeling it back, cracking it, and being like, I just found a hazelnut in the woods. And it is those things of, get them involved and then get them excited, and you'll have a hard time getting them indoors, and it'll be easier and easier and easier every time you go out because they'll know that there's adventures and fun things to do.
I had no idea we even had hazelnuts in Manitoba.
Oh, I'm just scratching the surface. It's incredible. Wild mint is another one. So, making a tabbouleh salad with the tomatoes are out right now. The basil's out right now. And put in a little bit of wild mint. And just the fact it's like your salmon. The fact that you found it, you made it, and you're creating something new out of something that you've picked out of the ground is it makes it that much better.
Oh, I was taking photos, the big smile, right? I'm sending it to everybody. Look at my dinner. I caught this.
Yeah, that's such a neat experience.
Because, everybody wants that from the 40-year-old, right? Sending it to my mom over text. Look what I made tonight. And she's like, yes, I raised you. I know you can cook, right? But it's just that pride and I caught this. I made this. And it's just another thing that we are so spoiled with here. All the things. You can go out and catch so many different fish here.
Oh, yeah. A couple of years ago, we went catfishing in Selkirk, and it was incredible. I'm not even that much of a fisherman, and it was such a neat experience to go out on a boat at 6 a.m. and the sun's coming up, and everyone else is kind of sleeping, and you're coming up to a beautiful spot and going catfishing. It's incredible.
I also just love we were talking about the free things that you can do outdoors. There's so many different things that happen at Assiniboine Park. There's movies that are happening. If you want to do all of the outdoor stuff, but then you don't want to go inside at the end of the night, those outdoor, bring somewhere to sit outside and watch a movie, and even just bringing what you would do inside, outside. Well, we talk about the picnics, all of these types of things that just keep you outdoors longer.
Yeah, and one of the great things about this time of year is the days are getting a little bit shorter, but they're still quite warm. The bugs are down and the heat is great, but stargazing is another one. Just when you're out, you don't even have to go that far out of the city, and to see where our planet fits in with the Milky Way right now. The kids and I will have, look out for shooting stars, but then, of course, they want to be competitive and make it a contest of how many satellites they can track across the sky. Or, seeing the blinking lights. Is that a satellite or a plane? It's these really simple moments, but sitting on our back, looking up the sky, and because we've got so much wide open space and clear skies, these beautiful skies here in Manitoba, they're amazing during the day, but they open up and they're beautiful at night as well.
See, my family, we're competitive too. So we'd be lying down, we'd take it all in, but then the competition takes over. Another thing that we've been seeing a lot of lately, and you can't always predict northern lights. And it's something that we are spoiled here as well. And you don't even really need to leave the city sometimes to see them.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. And it's another experience that I never grow tired of. It almost doesn't seem real to see that curtain of glowing lights. And that's the other thing. When you know that these things are out there, you get in the habit of just looking for them. And I started this with Frosty Face, of trying to find the beauty in winter, but it really applies all year round. And if you're in the habit of it, when it rains, go out and smell that fresh rain. When it's windy and it's too windy, go to fly a kite. When it's dark out, go and see the stars. Try and find the northern lights. Or the other thing we love to do is try and catch those glow bugs. You see them every once in a while. And seeing the kids run around in the dark trying to catch these glow bugs is amazing.
I love that, because it wasn't, it's too windy, we can't do that. It's too windy, so we can do this.
Yeah, or people are saying, it's almost too hot to do anything. Well, go find a little stream somewhere, lie in it, and you don't have to do anything. But it's amazing, and it'll put a smile on your face.
Chris, before we leave, I just want to know why. Why do you encourage people to get outside all year long, no matter the temperatures?
Well, this relates back to what I was saying is we live in a province of extremes. So to me, there's always a changing environment, which means there's always something to see. There's always something new. But at the same time, seize the day, because a lot of these seasons, a lot of these experiences are short. In early spring and summer, we see these massive storms track through. We're kind of past that, and we're into late fall. We're going to start seeing, or late summer, we're going to start seeing the leaves change. But that's a very short season as well. So while it's always new and exciting and changing, also get out so you can actually experience this before it's gone.
There we go. Chris, thank you so much. 3 weeks left. We
Yes.
still have plenty of summer left. Get
Lots of time.
outside. Enjoy Manitoba. Enjoy all it has to offer. Chris Beauvlain is a year-round outdoor enthusiast and creator of the Instagram account. You can find him Frosty Face MB. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Winnipeg band The Prairie Joggers have been sharing a string of new songs, all leading up to the release of their album, The Weight of It, which you could hear on October 4th. From it, here's The Prairie Joggers with Runner.
Where did all the love go? Day is done, night grows like an amaranth. Leaves the back light on when she wants some. He waits with his collar on. Her gaze makes his head spin. Lost love must have had a twin. Time's a little brittle, be gentle, better never let it go. Born and raised in Memphis, eccentric, life too
That was the Prairie Joggers with Runner. Chloe Friesen is in now, and she's going to be hosting Up to Speed. And Chloe, blah, 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 blah. It's too much. What can we expect this afternoon? I was losing my words there for a minute.
No, that's okay. Brittany, I've got a phone. I've got a cell phone.
Same.
You've got a cell phone.
Right within arm's reach.
Right. It comes with a camera, which means that you can take pictures of your friends and family. You can make like little movies, but it also means that everyday unsuspecting people are filmed without knowing it. So this can be for views on social media or for money. The rise of social media and smartphone cameras have made it very possible to have your every move recorded without permission and consent. It's a bit scary. So our tech columnist Takara Small is asking, have things gone too far? We'll discuss why we're addicted to filming people in public without their consent.
Well, I got cameras on you right now.
I know. But full consent for these cameras.
Full consent.
Wherever they are.
All right, that's on Up to Speed this afternoon. Thanks, Chloe. Well, that's all for me here on Radio Noon. Filling in for Janet Stewart this week, I'm Brittany Greenslade. Thank you so much for spending a bit of your afternoon with me. I want to thank Marshall Hodgins, who's doing our technical side today, Director Dylan Longhurst, and Travis Peterson, who is running our YouTube live stream. You can catch me hosting Winnipeg News tonight at 6 o'clock with everything you need to know, and I'll be back here tomorrow on Radio Noon. Next up, Unreserved.